Sitaram, all protocols observed. Today, as I walk up these steps for the final time as a teacher, I experience the same feelings of anticipation and anxiety that I had felt almost 41 years ago. Teaching has been the greatest joy of my life, and at Tunapune Hindu School, I have grown from a teenager to being married, then motherhood, and now grandmotherhood. All these experiences and many, many more I have shared with my colleagues within these walls. The years have gone by so quickly that I hardly even felt it, well, except for the grey thinning here and the slowing of my steps as I tried to run up the stairs a while ago. I have been often asked why I chose to remain at this school for my entire teaching career. My answer has always been the same. I believe that I could help to build my community by guiding our students to acquire all those skills, attitude, and knowledge necessary for citizenship. What will I miss the most? It is difficult to pinpoint any one thing. I will miss the incessant chatter of the children as they play at recess time and at lunchtime, for the noise never really bothered me. Over the years, I have learned that I could sleep and even study in a noisy room. I will surely miss the daily devotion. We teachers are fortunate, We pray 4 times a day as part of our job. So, we get blessings while doing our job. I will miss being in a classroom and performing the daily routine of writing on the board, correcting books, reading, decorating, and yes, even the dreaded making of charts, because I always loved being creative. I will miss the meetings with the administrative team because planning for the upliftment of the school was always a priority. The announcements on the PA system requesting my presence in the principal's office would always begin like this: Miss Chabira, please come to the office now. And then a few minutes later, Miss Chabira, we are waiting for you, would find me scrambling to race down the stairs. All the while they could see me on the cameras pretending that I did not hear the first announcement. The collegiality and camaraderie of this staff I will miss the most, for we have shared a lot, both good and not so good, and yet we have prevailed. Now that I have reached the end of a wonderful career, I must express my gratitude to those who have been part of my journey. I must first thank Bhagwan for his divine inspiration, blessings, and guidance each and every day of my life. To my deceased parents and to the entire Kaulasa clan, I say thank you. Our family circle has always been a large and a supportive one, for I am the last of 11 children. To the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha, and especially the late Secretary General, Mr. Satnarayan Maharaj, I am grateful for the many opportunities that were extended to me. I was appointed as a teacher at the top performing school on the East-West Corridor in 1981. Then 2 months later, I went on an all-expense-paid trip to Guyana and Suriname with some of Trinidad's most talented youths, like Mr. Omar Rat Maharaj of Spread Pal Crew, Mr. Rana Mohib, and Mr. Ruplal Gildari, to name a few. In 1982, Mr. Satnarayan Maharaj invited the SDMS youth arm, of which I was a member, to accompany him and the touring Guyana group to our president's house. I was in awe to meet the late Sir Ellis Clark, our first president, and then to be featured on the front page of the newspapers the following day, standing right next to our president. I will always be grateful to the board for the opportunity to practice my religion and to impress upon my young charges the importance of Sanatan Dharma in their daily lives. Mrs. Charan, our school manager, has been a good friend and confidant over the years, and I thank her for this. No matter how tough the situation seemed, she always managed to encourage and spur us on. The Ministry of Education and by extension our St. George East office have been thoroughly supportive during my entire teaching career, and I am ever so grateful for their guidance and advice. I extend my gratitude to the many principals whom I have been privileged to work under. They have all contributed to my success over the years and have motivated me to always give of my best to the students and to the school. Some of my colleagues that I have worked with over the years have left us physically, while others are now retired or are in other schools. I have always tried to learn something from everyone that I have worked with, and I express my heartfelt thanks to all for those lessons I have learned. To Mr. Ramdani, my present principal, it has been quite a great decade working under your principalship, sir. I've learned a lot, and I thoroughly enjoyed being one of your teachers, being a head of department, and being a part of your administrative team. During all this time, I thank you for the immense respect and friendship that you have displayed towards me. I especially thank you for the patience that you have extended to me during the first few months of virtual teaching when I was experiencing difficulties. I tell you, I was never so challenged in all my career as I was then. To my VP, Mr. Hariram, I have seen your love and dedication to our students, and I know that under your leadership, our standards, especially in the cultural field, will reach new heights. I have been quite impressed with the impact that you have made from the very first year that you were appointed here. And to those whom I have shared my trials and tribulations, my ups and downs, to you, my dearest colleagues, without you all, I would not have been able to reach this milestone. It's been an amazing journey, and you all made those steps so much easier to climb. For accompanying me as I traversed this road, which was sometimes long and arduous, I extend my heartfelt gratitude. I crave your indulgence as I especially thank my two daughters on staff, Miss Shivani and Miss Karina, for being my tech support and bailing me out when the going got tough online. Our BOA, Sasha, and I have had a wonderful relationship right from the day she arrived. I thank her for her patience because getting Miss Chabira to stop teaching to fill out paperwork, etc., was a real task, and sometimes I felt sorry for her. To the many OJTs who have worked here, I want to express my gratitude for your assistance. I was always assigned an OJT due to my involvement in administrative tasks and HOD duties. I would love to especially thank Miss Nadia, who showed me the way forward during the early days of online teaching. There were 4 members of staff who were the first faces that welcomed me every morning and who were the last to bid me goodbye on evenings. I thank the members of our janitorial staff for their respect and for the diligent manner in which they performed their duties, especially during this pandemic when their workload increased. Last but most importantly, to my family, my husband, my 3 sons, my daughters-in-law, and my grandkids. I must say thanks for all the patience you have had with me. Living with a teacher who took the stresses of the classroom home on a daily basis must not have been very easy. The frequent knocks on my gate by inquiring parents and students certainly did not help, for I chose to live on the same street as the school. My boys grew up knowing that the students' needs always came first, then theirs. Many days they would have to accompany me as we dropped off hampers or household items for those who needed. I always hoped that these acts might instill in them a sense of community spirit. My family has truly been my rock, urging me forward at every hurdle that I have faced. I remember during the first months of teaching online, I mentioned to my first son that I could not see the children's reactions and facial expressions while I was sharing the screen. Immediately, he hooked up a huge monitor to the laptop and solved the problem. Now I could clearly see all the children's faces. I looked on astounded, thinking, oh boy, I could barely work with one computer, and now he gives me two. Living with a teacher had other disadvantages as well. While growing up, they absolutely detested going anywhere with me for fear of me being recognized. They always remember walking in the streets of New York and hearing the Page Doubles man and his children screaming out, "Look, Miss Jabira!" To say that these boys were embarrassed is to put it quite mildly. One very special person who has been my inspiration and my hero all my life. She should have been here today to share in this moment. Sadly, though, 4 months ago she began a greater journey to Bhagwan. I will be eternally grateful to my mother, who has always urged me on, encouraged me to achieve and to adopt the best work ethics for an honest day's pay. Ma, I know that your blessings have brought me this far and will continue with me for as long as I live. So, it's been awesome here at Tunapuna Hindu School. And before I leave the compound for the final time as a teacher, I wish you every success as an institution. Please know that when you excel, I will be one of those loudly cheering you on. And if my services are ever required, then I will be only too happy to serve for the upliftment of the school and my community. Thank you and Sitaram.